Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. A person can have their whole life turned upside down by nothing more than a wall of snow 6 feet tall, packed tight as concrete right where their driveway's supposed to be. That's how my Tuesday started. Now I'm no stranger to Minnesota winters. But that morning, staring at that fortress of iced coffee steaming in my hand, I realized someone wasn't just moving snow, they were sending a message. For 3 years, I'd lived pretty peacefully in Lakeside Commons, Rochester, ran my own small construction company, minded my business, got along just fine. All that changed when Carolyn Montgomery slid into the president's seat at our HOA. 52, crisp as a fresh dollar bill in her white Lexus SUV, every hair in place, clipboard welded to her hand, and the look in her eye that told you she knew every line in the bylaw book by heart and was itching to use them all on you. Her crusade started the day I painted my front door navy blue instead of forest green, which apparently was grounds for war. But this was new. It wasn't just her writing me up for mailbox color or how early my recycling bin hit the curb. No, this was someone ordering a snow removal company to barricade my truck in with what had to be a couple tons of winter's best. And as I stood there fuming, I caught sight of my neighbor Gerald, retired IBM guy, been here since Lakeside Commons was just dirt lots and blueprints. He gave me the "I feel for you, buddy" nod and wandered over. Saw it happen. He called scraping ice off his old Buick. Guy made 3 passes, kept looking at his phone. HOA's new contractor. It's not the city, Brandon. They did this. Gerald's never been one for gossip, so when he says it, I listen. I was late for work already, behind on a kitchen remodel out in Byron. But there was no way around it. I had to clear that snow. Changed out of my work clothes, got the Kubota tractor fired up. The snow was packed so tight it might as well have been concrete. 40 minutes just to get the tractor out. Every shovelful felt like Carolyn herself was behind it, arms folded, watching from her porch 3 houses down. And sure enough, there she was, bathrobe coffee, that smug little smile like she was watching some sitcom. It was that look that did it. I could clear the snow, toss it on my own lawn, let her win, or I could get creative. Now, nowhere in those precious bylaws did it say you couldn't pile snow on the public right-of-way while you figured out what to do with it. I started making a neat pile, then switched out the tractor for my truck, attached the plow, and got to work. It took a bit, but I wrangled that whole mountain right up to Carolyn's place, shoving it up against her porch, covering her pretty planters, and honestly, her whole front door. Neighbors watched from their windows, phones out. Even Doris from 2 doors down was filming. I'll admit I got a little satisfaction from that call at karma. Brandon Fletcher. "What do you think you're doing?" Carolyn stormed out in full business, casual, red-faced. "Just returning your property," I said, keeping my voice friendly. "City plows didn't do this. Your contractor did. I got witnesses." She tried throwing the HOA rulebook at me, claimed I was breaking every bylaw in the book, that she'd call the cops, the lawyers, the mayor. I told her flat out obstruction of a driveway is illegal. If she wanted a police report, I'd be happy to file one. That shut her up at least for a minute. By lunchtime, I was back at work, but my phone wouldn't stop. First Carolyn, then Harold, the vice president, then, get this, the HOA's lawyer. All threats, all bluster. I called my own lawyer, Patricia. She's sharp, no-nonsense, handles property law out of a small Rochester office. She actually laughed when I told her, said I might just be in the right for once. That night, I had to face the firing squad emergency HOA meeting, Carolyn presiding like she was judge, jury, and executioner. I brought Patricia along. She walks in gray suit, briefcase, looks around like she's seen it all before. The place was packed, way more folks than usual. Word travels fast when drama's brewing. Carolyn tried to paint me as the villain: vandalism, harassment, willful destruction of property. Patricia cut her off. "If you want to accuse him of a crime, file a police report." Carolyn sputtered. The board argued. Gerald stood up loud and proud and told everyone what he'd seen, that the contractor had been following her orders, targeting me. The room started buzzing. Susan, the retired teacher on the board, looked about, ready to crawl under the table. Patricia made it simple. Carolyn started it. I just finished it within the law. She quoted cases, rules, made it crystal clear the HOA was way out of line. In the end, Susan, Linda, and even Harold sided with me. They voted for an apology and reimbursement for my lost work hours. Carolyn stormed out. For a second, it felt like justice. But you know, people like her, they don't go down without a fight. Next day, orange violation sticker on my door, holiday wreath left up too long, $50. Then recycling bin out early, $75. Then mailbox not charcoal black, another $100. I paid, repainted, documented everything. Patricia said we're building a harassment case. Hold tight. The fines kept coming. My grass, she said, was too brown in January. My truck was parked 6 inches past some invisible line. Bin on the wrong side of the driveway. By the end of February, $800 lighter, I was still hanging in. Then things escalated. Garage spray painted in red jerk. Tires slashed. Security cameras caught a figure in a ski mask walking with a limp leaving in a white Lexus SUV. Guess who drove a white Lexus and had a bum knee from a skiing accident? Still no clear proof, just enough to keep me on edge. Never enough for a warrant. It went on sugar into the gas tank window smashed. Each time, same limp, same SUV, same bad feeling in my gut. Police told me, "We know, but we need more." I wasn't about to move and let her win. I'd fought too hard. Then out of nowhere, Doug Peterson, the accountant board member who always voted with Carolyn, asked to meet in public. He looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Sat across from me, hands shaking, and confessed Carolyn had been embezzling from the HOA. Over 80 grand missing. He had proof, falsified records, fake expenses. He was scared but ready to go to the police. Next day, detectives showed up at Carolyn's. They found a ski mask, red spray paint, and jackpot, a journal where she'd written out every petty revenge she'd planned against me. She got arrested for embezzlement, fraud, vandalism, harassment, the works. The local paper went wild. For a while, I was the talk of Lakeside Commons, and not in a bad way. The board cleaned house. Susan became president. The rules got fixed. Ridiculous bylaws thrown out. Mailbox color. Now tasteful Christmas lights could stay up until the end of January. Gerald, bless him, finally joined the board. 20 years of griping paid off. Meanwhile, Carolyn pled guilty, got 6 years in Shakopee and a restraining order. She had to pay restitution to me and the HOA. My repairs got covered, business picked up, and life got boring again the way it's supposed to in the suburbs. But here's the part that sticks with me. 4 years later, out of the blue, my phone rings, Minnesota number I don't recognize. It's Carolyn, supervised by her lawyer, calling to say she's leaving the state, moving to Arizona, and wants to apologize. Voice shaking, she admits she ruined her life over a blue door and some petty grudge. She says she's sorry. I say, what matters is whether you change going forward. She says goodbye. I hang up, not sure if I believe her, but feeling for the first time like maybe the page had turned. That's the thing about power, it can twist people up inside if they're not careful. One day you're running the HOA feeling untouchable. The next you're in court looking at years behind bars, all because you couldn't let your neighbor have a blue door. So what's the lesson? I guess it's this. Sometimes you've got to stand up to the bullies even when they come wrapped in rules and regulations carrying a clipboard. Sometimes you've got to keep receipts, paint your mailbox, and wait for the right moment to push back. And sometimes justice shows up with a search warrant and a stack of evidence you never saw coming. Life went on in Lakeside Commons. New folks moved in, heard whispers about the snowplow incident, about the president who went to prison. We got better leaders, fair rules, real community. And every morning when I walk out my front door, still navy blue, still not forest green, I remember what it cost to keep it that way. Now I'll ask you, where's the line between fighting back and going too far? Does justice always look like someone getting what's coming to them, or is there more to it? Have you ever had to stand up to someone with power over you, even when it cost you? Drop your story in the comments or tell me what you think. Justice really means, because sometimes the only way things change is when enough of us say no more.